Okay. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to our June 18th PAC meeting. I'm Dali Palchik, Chair of the Program Advisory Committee. I'd like to note that we are starting the meeting at 4:34 p.m. The meeting is being streamed live on MVTC page. Although we weren't able to reach quorum, we plan to continue the meeting since we have several important presentations. I'd like to note that the meeting summary will reflect that we are not formally meeting as a Program Advisory Committee. But since we follow the public meeting requirements, we can continue to meet our role as commissioners. We do have with us commissioners. We do.
Oh, we have
This is the-
fire. Sorry, sir.
We have with us,
Do we have a quorum now?
we do
don't.
not, but we have Commissioner Snyder
Here.
and Commissioner Karen Thomas with us, and I believe we're expecting Commissioner Maureen Coffey from Arlington. We do have several items to cover this afternoon, so let's get started. Okay, so we are skipping over to Route 7. Okay, we are skipping over to Envision Route 7. Our first presentation is from Senior Program Manager Vikram Sinha, and he'll be providing the latest updates on Envision Route 7, in particular, the section of the corridor running from Seven Corners to Marks Center, which is the final section of the route. Take it away, Vikram.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everybody. My name is Vikram Sinha, Senior Program Manager for Envision Route 7. So just wanted to start off by saying it's been a great project thus far. We've done a lot of good work. Next slide, please. So here we have a map of Route 7 on the right, just showing the three different segments that were studied and are being studied currently. It is the backbone of the Northern Virginia transit system, connecting multiple metro rail stations, as well as access to opportunity, jobs, healthcare, education. 57,000 people live along this route. 12% of folks do not own a car. And it's primarily served by Metrobus F20, although there are other regional as well as WMATA routes that do serve the route at different portions. Metrobus F20 carries approximately 2.4 million people each year. It's seen significant growth in ridership post-pandemic. It is the busiest bus route in Virginia. It may not be the busiest transit corridor, but this is the highest ridership bus route in Virginia. And we're currently in phase 4.2, which is Falls Church to Alexandria Marks Center. And we're currently doing outreach and determining corridor treatments, which will go into more detail in the next slide. Thank you. So what we're currently doing is traffic modeling, which is the quantitative analysis piece. And that's looking at a future state no build, as well as curb and center running bus lanes, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then we're also doing outreach, which is qualitative analysis, which gathers feedback and educates the public on high-level trade-offs. And on the right, we have a map of this study corridor in Fairfax County, just kind of showing all the different places it serves in the community, as well as the eventual terminus at Southern Towers, Marks Center. And so what is traffic modeling? So we're identifying design trade-offs. We're looking at a no-build scenario in the future where these improvements were not built, but other planned improvements to the roadway would occur. And then we're looking at different alternatives, center running bus lanes versus curb running bus lanes. Virginia Department of Transportation, or VDOT, is the roadway owner in Fairfax County. So we are doing ongoing coordination with them using an application called VISM. And on the right is a screenshot of that VISM model. And for those that are trying to figure out where this is in the project corridor, it's Seven Corners, just as it turns back onto Route 7. And so just going into that, those discussions with the spring outreach that we've had so far, and which ends tomorrow, we've been reaching out to people in their daily lives with pop-up events at Global Foods, Eden Center, Marks Center, Southern Towers, and Halalco Halal Meat Groceries in the corridor, as well as business outreach at Seven Corners, Culmore, and Bailey's Crossroads. And so we're going to folks where they are, So far, in the outreach, and we're looking to update this slide for the July Commission, we've had 516 total interactions, 214 in English, 35 in Vietnamese, 263, excuse me, in Spanish, and 4 in Amharic. And it's really important to note that most of those interactions, or majority of them, have not been in English. So we're really reaching those folks that are representative, that live on the corridor and work and travel. Additionally, we held an open house on Tuesday, June 9th at the Ellen Coolidge Burke Community Library in Alexandria. It was very well attended. About 42 attendees, 37 adults, 5 children. And so we got to have a lot of great conversations with the community, answer questions, get feedback from folks, as well as having staff from WMATA, Fairfax County, Alexandria, present to answer questions, as well as our consultant team. And then all this leads up to the survey. So we're asking folks about their bus ridership experience, and if they don't ride the bus, why do they choose not to? As well as understanding what kind of bus priority treatment preferences folks would want to see, and then gathering some demographic information just to understand better who we're talking to. And on the right is a picture of one of our colleagues talking to someone at Global. And then just talking about more immediate benefits to the community, commuter choice funding it will be enabling more buses in the peak hours on the project corridor through the F2X, which I know sounds like a fighter plane, but it is a real tangible benefit to the community. On the right is a map of the proposed route. It was approved by the Commonwealth Transportation Board this past week. So this will begin operation in December 2026. And so immediate benefits to the community: more buses, less waiting for the bus, fewer stops means a faster travel time. And so the F2X will start its service at Spring Hill Metro, which is actually further north than Tyson's, giving folks in the Tyson's community some additional coverage. And then the F2X will culminate at the new West Alexandria Transit Center. And so we're going to see some real benefits for the community very quickly. So where we are, we've studied the whole corridor for traffic impacts. We're very happy with that. And we've established that Route 7 is a priority corridor for the region, both in DMV moves as well as NVTA's bus action plan. And we're realizing tangible benefits to bus riders by the end of this counting. So where are we going next? Coming this fall, we're looking to share the final takeaways of our study, get folks to understand just what exactly are we thinking will work best for the region on bus priority. But then also, as part of that, we want to build a regional consensus on a path forward. We've heard from our jurisdictional staff that they're confused. They want to see does leadership agree with this? So we are looking forward to going to each of our jurisdictional partners. That's Fairfax County, Arlington, Falls Church, as well as Alexandria, to brief them on the results of the study, as well as what we believe the benefits will be for Envision Route 7 as a reminder, and then looking as part of that a staff recommendation on how to advance the project forward. And then concurrent with those efforts, we are currently identifying short and medium-term projects to advance those program goals. So picking up from the Envision Route 7 strategic implementation plan that we had produced in 2024, pushing forward on the projects that we see and we believe will benefit bus riders on the project corridor. This is kind of the ultimate in cross-organizational coordination. I do want to highlight it's difficult to schedule this many aspects of the timeline because there's many jurisdictions, many pieces, but we believe that we can produce high quality work, and we are committed to producing that high quality work. And I think a lot of our jurisdictional staff are committed to that. We're coming off of some great meetings with VDOT, DRPT, Fairfax County DOT, and all the different jurisdictional partners, WMATA, and we believe we can really deliver a lot of benefits to the community more quickly. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
And if I could, Vikram, we also have a great deal of excitement by the Spanberg administration to move forward on this corridor. So all of the work that Vikram and his team with the jurisdiction, I know there's a great deal of interest. If there's an opportunity, again, consensus on the what to be moving forward with future applications for funding during the course of this administration. And so we do have a lot of support. Just as a reminder, this corridor was identified as one of the priority corridors with the DMV moves. Obviously, in Columbia Pike goes as well. In conversations, Chair Bagley and I and a handful of staff did have a meeting with the secretary just a couple of weeks back, and he specifically asked sort of what's happening and how can we move this forward. So we're looking forward to working with all of your jurisdictions to make some very tangible steps towards grant applications or other things. So the timing of the work that Vikram's been leading is like we are landing to a really good timing to identifying packages, priorities, segments, et cetera, that could move forward in the next couple of years under this administration, obviously with the jurisdictional support. So,
thank you. Well,
yeah.
Before I turn it over, just really, that's very exciting. The first time I'm hearing that. So, I appreciate that being shared and would love more conversations. I know, for the economic development of this area and the F2X will provide a great benefit. I know that Fairfax is still very focused on Route 1, but I recently met with our leadership and share the importance of looking what we can do here. But it would be great to get us more.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a
more
very
involved in
high
that.
level, just hearing the excitement.
Yes.
We somewhat anticipated that, being this was identified as one of the priorities within the DMV moves. So,
Okay.
but it's a high level strategic, what can you do? There's not specifics right now. So,
Okay. Thank you. Very exciting. Let me open it up to the commissioners. Takis.
So, exciting is an understatement because it's long awaited for and expected. Especially, you said that 57,000 people, live around the segment.
Mhm.
So if you consider, because you mentioned Columbia Pike, which is the connectivity to east,
Mhm.
that if you count these two counts together, it's about 100,000 plus. And we're talking also about a place, you forgot to mention that this is one of our biggest and currently most prolific repositories of housing in the region. And I didn't say only affordable housing, I mean housing in general. Both the Mason district and part of Fairfax County, I think your district also touches that.
I have the whole northern,
The north
northern
part,
portions, yes.
etc. If you look at just the untapped capacity for lack of transportation options.
Informed.
Yes. So the question is, what is expected from us besides general agreement? What kind of arguments should we just putting on the table?
So I love that question, Commissioner, because in my remarks, I forgot to mention that we want to take the commissioners on a tour of the project route, mostly centered around the Mason District, the current study phase. But we want to show you and have you experience what the riders experience, as well as all the different difficulties they might face. There are places along the corridor where there is a lack of sidewalks, there's a lack of comfortable seating, there's no shade in some of the bus stops. The challenges around transferring from the F20 or F2X to the Columbia Pike ride, things like that. We want to definitely illustrate those issues. And I think in your role, the ask would be is to the deliberate need for guidance for staff to be like, yes, this is a priority for our jurisdiction, and we want to see this happen, because this project is a great project, but it also needs champions to say we want to see it occur. And without that occurring, without the ability for us to go into meetings and say this is important not just to the state of Virginia, but also to Fairfax County, Arlington County, the respective jurisdictions, that's the only way we can get each jurisdiction to implement bus priority treatments, because this is an extremely high ridership line. There's a lot of folks that use it that don't have the ability to drive, or for whatever reason don't have access to a car or choose not to. And so we just want to make sure that we're getting those benefits through. And it always helps to have the ability to say that, you know, your leadership voted on this and you believe it.
Go ahead, Dave. Commissioner Snyder.
First of all, thank you to NVTC for keeping the faith in this project over the years, and all the staff that have worked on it. I attended at the end the community outreach session. It was very well attended. The staff was great. The materials were great. So thank you. And my question will be for consideration over the summer. How do we position this project in the priority list effectively, and then continue to? And then secondly, what component parts do we need to put together to make it happen? So thanks again for it. And for all the reasons I mentioned, it's a major employment corridor. It's a major retail corridor. It's a major residential corridor. It's a major religious corridor, a major cultural corridor, a major historic corridor. It's in some ways, it's more diverse in the true sense of that word than almost any other place you could think about. So it's very positive mission. So thank you all, and please keep it up.
No, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for attending. Yes, I think that's a great question. I think with the completion of the planning phase, we want to see design work begin, and then the eventual construction. We want to take on a more aggressive stance. So we want to see it enter into project development with our local jurisdictions. We want to see it pushed into some real ground truthing as to what is feasible, what will work, and then you know, kind of pursuing the different funding options that are available. And to that point, I don't think we need to pursue federal funding necessarily. I think there's enough money just within Virginia itself to get real tangible benefits more quickly. The challenge with that, again, is working with jurisdictional staff. Of course, as we mentioned, there's multiple work streams, multiple timelines. And so we understand and we appreciate that everybody's working on jurisdictional priorities as well as other priorities. And so fitting this into their work streams and making sure that they realize that this is a jurisdictional priority is critical.
And I'll just add that this is the work of the summer that's coming up. We will be kind of reaching back out, talking with our partners who have been excellent across the board and really refining these plans. A version of this presentation will be given at the July commission meeting, but we have plans to come back to the full commission in the fall. And so we should have kind of, I think, more specifics that Commissioner Snyder is asking about kind of in that time frame. So.
Yeah.
And thank you. I mean, I have goosebumps. I'm so excited. I got a preview, so I got them there. But I think there's so much excitement and so many questions, especially because you're dealing with so many jurisdictions, right? But love hearing that the governor is excited about this as well. I do have a couple of questions for you, Vikram.
Yes.
The first one is pretty straightforward. For slide 12, looking at the operation expected to begin in December 2026 for the blue, I'm gonna call it the blue on here, the blue line,
Yeah.
which does number one include, which our staff had studied back under Tom Bishavny, the northern section. He's now my appointee to the Tyson Service District, so he'll be excited to see this. And then going to the southern areas. If you could tell us a little bit about the timing, the expectations of those routes, and then how MVTC and WMATA are looking to sort of monitor, learn from this 2-year pilot program.
Yes, it's a great question. So this will provide additional frequency where that F2X overlaps, excuse me, with the F20. So in that blue portion between Spring Hill Metro and Tyson's, the F2X will operate kind of solo without the F20, but provide coverage in the peak hours, AM and PM. And then between Tyson's down the project corridor, basically all the way down to almost Columbia Pike, that overlap will provide additional service because it won't stop at all the stops that the F20 does, but key ones that WMATA sees as having higher ridership. And we're looking to kind of test our thesis. A lot of the data analysis that we've been working on with VDOT presents this route as part of that analysis. So we're seeing a real world implementation of a study into operation. And what we're hoping to see is increased ridership. And we're seeing a track record of success from the pandemic, whereas frequency increased on the corridor, more people chose to use the bus. And so our hopes are that as the bus becomes more available, especially at rush hour, and they're seeing the bus appear more often, they will choose to take the bus in spite of the lack of bus priority improvements thus far.
So love to hear that and the hopes around it. I assume you'll be able to come back to us at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that, the qualitative and quantitative, we'll be tracking, or WMATA will take the lead on that. Has that been figured out? Will that?
For the study itself, the qualitative and quantitative will come back in September with those study results. And then we're looking to track with WMATA the success.
WMATA has the ridership, so
Yeah.
we get that straight from them.
And I
Yeah,
would say
absolutely.
like, the benefit of it being funded through commuter choice is they kind of have to report on how it's
That'll be
working.
quantitative only, right? Or will that include qualitative? It'll be
We get the ridership,
qualitative.
But I think that the thing
It's mostly
we're
But
gonna
it's
be,
mostly quantitative. I just want to make sure,
oh,
because you all have done such an excellent job, and I want to commend you on the anthropologist is me, loves the qualitative
Okay,
work.
got it.
Yeah.
And whether it's those small things that are less costly often, right?
Mhm.
The access, the lack of access.
Yeah.
So I would want to make sure that maybe through our role, if WMATA is going to do more of the quantitative, that Vikram's team is able to do some of that qualitative analysis through this pilot.
Yeah, we definitely have feedback mechanisms for the public, but we want to hear from the public. And I think there will be an ongoing discussion with the community as we drive the project forward past September with the jurisdictions.
I would say especially trying to understand the new ridership. I think that's the big key we're trying to figure
Yeah.
out. And people maybe who have a choice and choose to do the new express route versus get in their car or
Mhm.
take an Uber, would love to see how we continue. I think that's a big challenge, and I discussed that with our heads of FCDOT. How do we focus on? Yeah, so that's very exciting. And then we recently, at our last on Tuesday, had a presentation from MVTA on their focus on the routes. I know this and Gallows were both two of the primary ones. And we clarified that they're really focused, they're going to be the infrastructure piece. And I assume MVTC is going to be more with the jurisdictions, the lead on the overall planning and programming. It seems to be, we're in a better place around that. But I guess if we could just share with us a little bit as we move forward with MVTC, MVTA, and the jurisdictions, if we've thought through how.
well, they're
move
obviously
through
an incredible source of funding, and the opportunities are very good. I know the plan that he presented is a vision, and it's really focused on helping if there's any comp plan changes and things like that. But the near term, we're helping shepherd this through. It could be possible, again, with each of these jurisdictions, as they look holistically, what is a package of projects that could be applied for? The authority would be a perfectly reasonable place, as well as smart scale in the future. And just sort of put a real fine point, I think, on what Vikram was doing very diplomatically. We really need to hear from each of the jurisdictions. What is your vision? When we talk holistically the whole corridor, what's your vision if we were to be looking at things in the next couple of years? What are the first set, whether it be geographically or literally technology or lanes or whatever, that each jurisdiction agrees, this is what I want this to look like in my jurisdiction. And in case for Fairfax County, two sides of the jurisdiction. That's really important. And so that's, I think, what we're really looking for in the coming months is what's, what are the things that we could work with to package that work for your district, and just like we need, what does it look like in Falls Church? What does it look like if it goes through Arlington?
So I guess my question request, not to have one of my colleagues here, is I'm excited. I've been a champion of this 7 years and
Yeah.
want to continue to champion it, but clearly there are others who both are along the corridor and not here, or in leadership. So I guess let's talk offline
Mhm.
about how to have those conversations
Absolutely.
and how to think through that, and if there are issues. And I'm happy to, take the lead on that. That's helpful with
We appreciate your support.
pride and with our
I was listening, so thank you.
transportation.
And we do have some time with the Fairfax County Transportation Committee. It's moving a little bit, but
You
you
do.
never know, maybe they'll move up.
Okay, you are currently
We
scheduled.
are scheduled
For December.
for a little bit later,
Yeah.
but I think there may be
Had
some.
to talk to Jimmy to move you up.
Uh,
Yes, before I go back to, no, thank you. Yes, Mr.
A
Curran.
short thing, short question, because I want to calibrate better how we can convey in a more helpful way here our priorities. First of all, from your analysis, I see that you still consider what I call the legacy design of very long, completely, complete lines. So there is no, for now at least, no consideration of a mid-of-the-way hub changes. I mean, one of the reasons that we had challenges until now, and this is what you will hear from riders of F20, is that, it is a very long line. It's never reliable. It has an impact on the reliability, etc. You can compensate with frequency for that, but we want to have reliability and frequency, etc. One of the ideas was to basically divide the route into sub routes, etc. Is that, or is it something that organically will be?
I think one of the challenges of this program and my job in particular is we don't run the bus, we don't own the roadway. So we've heard from bus operators just about how difficult it is to navigate Seven Corners. Sometimes the bus is literally lingering into the intersection, spill back. So they're blocking traffic, which is not ideal. So that just speaks to how any improvements around Seven Corners will benefit the bus.
Are coming, but
Yes.
will come after the trial, the pilot, right?
Yeah.
And I also hugely expect, I mean, it's just a huge change that you have in Seven Corners.
And to your point, Commissioner, when we talked to WMATA 2 years ago, they were very open to discussing options. They went and did their homework about maybe breaking the route into two and having the routes meet at East Falls Church or West Falls Church or something along those lines. But I think they looked at kind of commuter choice and the ridership, and they looked at just how it operates. And I think they made a decision to continue that full line service. And that's something that we don't have full details into their thought process, but we can certainly ask WMATA to share information and give that to Kirk Dan from Arlington County. He can provide that to you. And get you those details.
I think that's important to be able for us also to make the case of what the appropriate, finally, the appropriate design philosophy should be here, because it's not only the reliability of buses, but also the quality of facilities that we will have to fund at the end. So that's for a different moment.
Really good point. Thank you. And I think why the qualitative would be just as critical.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Comments? All right, well, thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, Vikram, and this is a very exciting moment and very grateful that WMATA went ahead and applied and got commuter choice, so we're going to get that very first piece of data.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now moving on to microtransit, another really exciting presentation with data visualization. Program manager Sophie, I'm not going to try, is going to provide a brief overview. I'll get it. Julia Topoulos. There you go. Is going to provide a brief overview for us before introducing our two presenters. We're so excited to have visitors today from Arlington County and OmniRide.
Thank you, Chair. So just a little bit of context. At past PAC meetings, commissioners have expressed a desire to learn more about the microtransit programs and how agencies pair them with fixed route service. We've invited staff managing two microtransit programs in our region here today to describe their process and their lessons learned. We're going to get two different perspectives on microtransit, with Paul Mounier from Arlington County sharing his perspective, or the perspective of a program that just kicked off a few months ago. And then Perrin Palestrant is going to provide his insights into OmniRide's program that has been running for a couple of years now. So before I hand it over to Paul, but you can come on up, Paul. I just want to note that Loudoun County is also currently running a microtransit program in Leesburg with plans to launch a second pilot in Sterling very soon, I believe. I want to say like very, very soon, but I don't remember the date. Very, very soon.
Nice.
July
Just
1st.
a
Thank
couple
you.
weeks
Owen.
away.
Last Friday, we did host our first Nova Transit Talks webinar where we heard all about Loudoun's program and how it's improving the transit experience. The recording is now posted online for anyone interested who missed it, who wants to go back and listen. I personally think it was a great webinar, but I'm a little biased. But anyway, I'm going to hand it off to Paul to talk about Arlington's microtransit program.
Good evening. My name is Paul Mounier. I'm the project manager for microtransit. I'm also the service planner for the Arctic Fixed Route Bus. I appreciate you letting us come out and speak about our microtransit project today. Just some initial background information. Consideration of microtransit was in the 2017 to 2026 TDP. Identified areas in the county with peak bus service. The microtransit was designed to fill in during the midday when the peak service didn't run. The concept reemerged and was refined in the Arlington Strategic Plan 25 to 2034, adopted in fall of 2023. And a formal implementation plan was subsequently developed in the summer of 2024. We thought it was very important to dig in a little further as technology kept changing very quickly over the course of 2016 when the first type of microtransits came out to almost 5 years later, we're getting ready to implement. The county has applied for and received a demonstration grant, which incorporates $500,000 local match awarded by the Virginia Department of Rail, Department of Rail and Public Transportation. And efforts are underway to extend that grant. As we move forward through this, you'll see that we have a very small zone. It's much smaller than a lot of zones, even in this area. Arlington County itself is only the size of some larger zones that you'll see with microtransit, but we are looking to expand. And County P is actively looking to evaluate and determine the effectiveness of the pilot and pursuing funding once the pilot ends. The pilot design you can see on the screen is representation of the zone. There is, during the implementation study, we did have the first zone that was identified, but we also added in the second zone a little to the south of that along I-66, which is Westover, due to some discussions about housing in that area and benefit people would have from that. So just a little bit more about that. So anywhere you can pick up a trip anywhere in either of the two zones and go to a location in either of the two zones. So if you start in a zone, you can go anywhere in the zone. You can also go to one of the nodes that is outside the zone. The nodes are Falls Church, Ballston Metro Center, and Madison Community Center. If you start at one of the nodes, you can go into the zone to anywhere into the two zones, but you cannot go from node to node. The reason that we restricted node-to-node transportations. We didn't want people to pick up, to come to East Falls Church and then take a trip to Ballston because there is so much bus service and rail service between those two nodes. We did not, we're not trying to replace fixed transit, we're trying to enhance fixed transit. And the main reason that the zone was picked is the difficulty with the geography, the suburban geography in this area to run fixed route service. Next slide, please. All right, and through our implementation plan, we determined the best thing for this pilot was a turnkey contract, essentially, and we have a turnkey contract that was awarded to VIA. The responsibilities of VIA is to provide the vehicles, the maintenance, operate the service, have maintenance facilities, do the maintenance on the vehicles, and also hire the operators. One thing that I will note is in our RFP, we did favor the idea of W-2 employees instead of contractors. We felt that that would give, we trying to create jobs and to have the W-2 protections were important to us. I also want to note that we're very open to if the operators decide that they would like to have a union, that they would be more than welcome to have a union. If VIA is very on board with that, they have worked with unions in other areas. And then our responsibility as a county is to have pilot oversight, make sure everything's working, evaluation, identifying KPIs, and design the service, tell the hours of service, fares, and any other policies. Some additional key features of the pilot. The fares, it's $4.50 per ride. That is double the fixed route cost. And the rest of the discounts mirror our fare policy. So if you receive a discount being a senior or a student, you will get a half price fare. And we are looking at for rides that start or end at Boston Metro Rail Station or East Falls Church, having a half price fare, because when you take a bus to a rail station, you get a free transfer or you get credit for that trip. So we want to mirror very much what the fixed route is doing. We do have this as a little higher than the fixed route, as we did not want to have the service overwhelmed in the pilot. We wanted to make sure that we, because this is such a small area, we have very few vehicles. We didn't want to get overwhelmed, but it's been we've been going very well so far. When you create an account, you receive your first 6 rides free. This is on demand. It is similar to what you would have from a TNC like Uber or Lyft. There's an app. You can punch in where you are, where you want to go, and then the rides are dynamically assigned. And we do try to emphasize shared trips at any time on this service. Accessibility service, we do have one vehicle that is a wheelchair or has mobility device, could be used wheelchair. Anytime that you've been identified as someone that needs a mobility device, you will be prioritized for the accessible vehicle, but we've also allowed for people that need a mobility device that they can pre-book up to 24 hours in advance to make sure that that vehicle is reserved and being assigned to them. And then you can see how to, the link here to download the app or calling to book a ride with the service. Another thing we prioritized in our RFP was fully electric vehicles. This is a picture of one of the vehicles. It's a ID Buzz, kind of a unique vehicle. It gives a little character to the service. That is some of the comments we've heard from the public. that these are kind of unique. So we were very excited about that. But as I said, we were very much emphasizing the fact that we wanted to have fully electric vehicles. The accessible vehicle is a hybrid electric. So because of the additional weight of the accessibility equipment, it was better to have a hybrid than a fully electric vehicle. And some of the metrics that we have for the service started on April 13th, and to the end of May, you can see we've had just over 1,000 accounts created, and about 400 riders have made at least one ride. Excuse me, yes, have made at least one ride. And then you can see that 75 has done more than 2 bookings, and 28 riders have completed more than 5 bookings. On the bottom, you can see the chart. You can see that the accounts are going down. The accounts being created are going down over time. That is to be expected. But you can see that on the second graph, that we are still getting new riders that are signing up and taking rides. So the dark blue is the returning riders, and the light blue is new riders that are coming. So we are still seeing new riders that are coming and trying it out. And some additional service metrics. This is, we have 526 completed rides that have been done. So about 43% of the people who have booked trying out the app have accepted the offer for a ride and taken that ride. And then you can see over here on the first graph, the orange is people who have made a booking and decided not to take that trip. The green is the actual trip. The red indicates that the trip was canceled. And then there is a small gray bar where there were a couple times towards the beginning of service where they had driver breaks that overlapped and a vehicle wasn't available. So there has been a very, very small percentage of times when someone did not have a seat to ride. But that has been corrected. As I said, this is a very small service, and we were able to fix that. And then you can see how the hours work. We work on a revenue hour basis. So we are charged for the revenue hours, but the operator is out there for longer. So when they pick up a trip and they're making that trip and then they go to the next trip, then it's all revenue service. But if they're not getting trips, it's not revenue service. So we're running at about between a 1.5 and a 2.1 passengers per hour. And that seems to be increasing. Last week, which isn't shown in any of these metrics, was one of our most successful weeks where we had the most rides and the most productivity. And as I said, this is a pilot. We're trying to evaluate if this is going to be effective for Arlington County. We're looking for potential opportunities, as I said, to expand the service. Working with PRPT right now. We have the funding was a little more than it looks like that we're going to need based on our birth rate for providing the service. And we're looking to expand the zones out, looking at the prior identified zones, the TDP, as well as getting input from the community. And then as we get to the end of the pilot, evaluating the service and determining whether it's appropriate and make a recommendation if it's appropriate to continue with Arlington County. That would include customer satisfaction, overall ridership, also the productivity of the ridership. So how does that compare to what Fixed Route is doing? And funding opportunities. Right now, there aren't any funding sources that we're aware of that can provide assistance for this, but we are going to be looking to see if there are grants or things that we can have to help fund and continue the service if it is deemed appropriate to move forward in Arlington. And I believe that is all I have. And any questions?
Thank you so much, Mr. Meunier. This is, to me, super exciting. I'm one of the people who's been asking probably every other meeting about microtransit, and was not aware of this pilot that's ongoing. So thank you. I have a couple of questions and then we'll open it up. So the first, and you really answered a lot of them, but the first one would be, so I understand you had a pilot, the grant, but what is the potential, yearly cost to the county?
It depends on the size of it. Right now, with the size of the service, you're looking somewhere between $750,000 to $880,000. So that would be based on the size of the service as it stands today.
You. And for the service, you did the RFP and you received VIA. I've been curious about how many companies are out there that are able to do this comparable, maybe met all of your standards or most of them?
I believe we received 7 or 8 responses, so it was a pretty robust number of respondents. I think we received Ride-On, we received from We Drive You, and there were a few others that I am not as familiar with. But VIA actually really had a good understanding of what the county was asking for. Plus, they were one of only 2 respondents that said that they could provide fully electric vehicles. They also were very open to the idea of the W-2 employee that's actually they brought forward in their response. They said we could do either W-2 or we can do contract. So those were probably the 2 factors that set them above, but there are definitely plenty of companies out there that are able to provide the service.
Thank you. And I wanted to say, I appreciated both that they're fully electric, W-2, and that you and they are open to a union should they choose to in the future. So excellent. Any other questions, comments? Yes, go ahead.
I'll give
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, excellent presentation. This is very, very interesting stuff. Just a couple of quick questions. First of all, you mentioned the app that you use. Is that a standalone app, or has that been integrated in any way with, I don't know, an app for art or other transit service?
Currently, it is a standalone app, but it can be put into other applications. There's APIs that allow other agencies to use it, so it could be integrated in there. Moving forward, depending on how things go, maybe we look to upgrade that. One of the things that's great with this, also with VIA, GRPT has a contract with Remix, and all our data, if you look at the last slide, goes directly into the Remix app, and we can see origin destination data. We can do it by time of day. So that is a real good analytical tool. So that was another positive. It wasn't necessarily why we selected them, but that was another great positive. So they are very forward thinking, and yes, we could integrate this data with other apps.
And my other question was the service areas. Very interesting. It looks like you chose areas outside of TOD areas, transit-oriented areas. And was that always the intent, is to test out microtransit in the lower density non-TOD areas, or was there any discussion of, I don't know, providing service or service area in the periphery, at the periphery of a TOD area, or even like TOD area to TOD area? What was the thinking behind the service areas?
The thinking is we wanted to be very cautious. We have a lot of transit service, not only ART, but Metro, significantly covering Arlington County, and we did not want to take away from the fixed route. So we wanted to be, a lot of decisions that were made were to be erring on the side of caution. And, as we look to expand, we are going to, look to areas, but primarily, we want to look at areas where there is limited transit access and, providing a service to destinations people want to go. So those are the two things that we going forward. But to answer your question, the initial idea for that is that we wanted to be very cautious and test this and make sure it worked without taking away from the fixed route and overwhelming the microtransit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munier. Thank you. We may borrow a few minutes if we may. I had my end time incorrect, so really appreciate it. A lot of great information, and we'll follow up if there are additional questions, and I'll send it back to Sophie, our second presentation.
Yeah, so we are now going to hear from Perrin Palestrant, who will tell us a little bit more about OmniRide's microtransit programs that, as I mentioned, he's been running for a couple of years now. So take it away, Perrin.
Great, thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Chair, NBTC commissioners, MBT staff, and other members of the audience. I really appreciate you giving me the time and allowing me to do this remotely as well. I'm Perrin Palestrant, Director of Planning and Service Delivery with OmniRide, and I'm going to go over our lessons learned with our microtransit services, where we have 2 zones currently operating. So really the overarching question is, why microtransit in the first place? And there's a variety of ways to implement microtransit depending on the service area that you serve and the other population densities. There's underutilized fixed routes where you could replace that with microtransit. You could also do it in heavy residential where you just need it to overlay on top of existing fixed route or create that first mile, last mile opportunity to transit, where there's infrequent service or span of services, where maybe the service ends early, but microtransit could help fill that gap in for frequency or for later in the evening because it's too expensive to run fixed route, say after 8 p.m., for example. Maybe you want to cut off the fixed route at 8 p.m., but you really want service until 11 p.m. so you can run microtransit in those off hours to fill in those gaps that maybe an underperforming or underutilized fixed route wouldn't be able to do, or really the best use of your resources. It provides a lot of flexible options because you're able to go into neighborhoods that a big bus really can't go into and can penetrate those other areas, single family homes, cul-de-sacs, things that don't really fit well with a fixed route option where those generally stay on the main roads, whereas this could go inside a little deeper. You can use smaller vehicles, so it also takes care of the empty bus syndrome that sometimes bus routes face because it's a smaller van, it's quiet, you're in and out, nobody really notices it, and you're doing good by either bringing people out to the main roads, to the fixed route, or taking them to a node where there's multiple routes, or to a shopping center or someplace where that's right in the zone itself. And it's really easy to modify the service area. We've had experiences where people will ask for a new stop or to expand the area. And if it makes sense, we can do that. And we work with our software company. And usually by the end of that day, it's already in the system. So somebody can book the trip and start using it. Whereas on a fixed route, if you want to add a stop or modify the route, it takes a long time to do it because of possibly public hearings, board approvals, funding, everything that goes involved with that. Next slide, please. So our very first OmniRide Connect microtransit service was to help out with an underutilized bus route that we had in Manassas Park. It was our Route 68. It started in 2019 when we restructured our western service area, where we created 3 new local bus routes. And this route had low frequency, it would operate every 90 minutes, it had a lower span of service, and it operated in a very low density, highly residential area, even though it had a VRE station as an anchor on one end, and it had our western hub by the Prince William County Courthouse on the other end. It just couldn't generate enough ridership to really justify continuing it. And at every 90 minutes, if you were to reduce that, you can't go any less than that because there was only one bus in the first place on the route. So less than 1 is 0, and we didn't want to remove all service. And if you start shrinking span of service, you just end up making the service even worse. We looked at what we could do with this area to still provide the transportation that is necessary, but do it in a different way than just traditional fixed route. And on the map on the right, the blue line represents what our Route 68 was doing, and the green around it is the service area we created to allow that deeper penetration into the neighborhoods, as well as expanding the area where we couldn't run fixed routes. So we were able to expand further north up the Route 28 corridor into the Yorkshire area, which has a lot of residential communities up there, and bringing people down to the shopping centers, the Manassas Park Community Center, the senior centers, the VRE station, and really just connecting people within the service area. Some of the things that we faced was the public perception of the low ridership on the route, and just the fact that it was just inefficient to continue putting those resources into this route, knowing that it wasn't going to grow anymore. If we doubled the frequency, even, that doesn't necessarily mean we were going to see ridership significantly grow, because it just had a limit. So microtransit was the best way to switch over, still provide that service, provide more flexible options, and to redeploy the resources from the fixed route onto other routes that actually had the ridership that warranted it. And we were double frequency on another route as a result by shifting that bus and that service hours over to the other route. Next slide, please. When we started the outreach to the passengers, we did receive a lot of pushback initially. Just like any bus route that you have, no matter what your ridership is, no matter what the frequency is, there's always people that need that bus route. My theory is you could put a bus route on any street, and if you propose to take it away, you're going to hear from everybody on that route, no matter how many people you take. And that's what happened here. We heard a lot of complaints from passengers and concerns over what this would mean from switching to fixed route to the OmniRide Connect service. And we had to do a lot of outreach to the community, because we had a lot of senior citizens that were impacted. We had a lot of customers where English wasn't their first language. And so we had to break through those barriers to explain that this is actually better, because the service was going to be more reliable and more frequent. But people liked the bus, even though it only ran every 90 minutes. They revolved their life around that. They had the consistency that they could rely on. They knew that they could just go to the bus stop and catch the bus and take it to wherever. And so we decided to do a survey of every single trip on that route. And we rode and spoke to a number of people. We received a petition to not do this, and the person supplied us with about 100 or so signatures. So we actually called everybody that was on the petition to find out if they truly were riders, or if they were just people that signed it out of pressure, or they just felt bad. And most of the people didn't even remember signing the petition in the first place. So we knew we had a limited number of people that we were truly impacting negatively by this. So we really focused on that, about making sure that people felt comfortable about switching from something where you could go out to a bus stop and catch a bus, to having to make a reservation or request the ride to get them. I remember one woman talking to me. She said it felt like that she was having to ask for permission to use the service by having to go to this microtransit versus going to the bus stop. And when we explained the freedom that this would provide in the multiple ways that there were to reserve the service, it definitely eased her mind, and it eased a lot of other people's minds. And so we had to slow down the actual conversion over from fixed route to microtransit to give us that time to really dig deep into the passenger base and get out there and learn about the route ourselves and see what we could do. So once we did convert it to microtransit, we actually restructured one of the other routes to cover a little portion of the service that had the higher ridership of the 68, to still make sure they had a somewhat of a fixed route option, as well as the microtransit overlay. Next slide, please. So when we implemented it, we did it as a soft launch in December 22. This allowed us to still run the Route 68 for a little bit of time, and start the microtransit. So people started getting used to it. We would learn about it. We would try to find any mistakes or errors or issues and get that resolved over the next month. So in January 2023, we could just launch it completely and then fully eliminate the Route 68. This map on the right shows our system map of how the zone is overlaid on the existing network and where you can actually use the connect to go to other fixed route, and you could take the East-West Express to go to Woodbridge. You can stay within Manassas or Manassas Park. So it gives people a lot of different options to be able to commute without necessarily just having all or nothing. We've also commingled it with our paratransit for better efficiency. So an operator doesn't just do microtransit or just do paratransit. They'll do one of those trips, and when they're done, the software through RideCo that we use will then assign them to a different trip. It may be a paratransit customer, it may be another microtransit customer, but it was our way to minimize how many resources we needed because we didn't have enough to just justify full-time operators on one or the other. This allowed us to mix them together, and as a result, it just helps our passenger per hour on it. It makes better use of our vehicles. And then with the RideCo software, we have several different ways that people can make their reservations. They can use the app, they can go on the website, or they can call customer service because that is what a lot of people like. They like the ability to call somebody, speak to a human, and get their ride booked. And so we have 3 different ways for people to communicate to be able to reserve their trips. And then they can change it however they want. If they see that they're running late or they need to change the schedule, they can either call in or use the app and adjust that, and then the van will come pick them up close to when they do need the actual ride. Next slide, please. After we started this service, we were getting a lot of requests to have more microtransit in our service area. So we decided, well, we've already done it in an area where we have an underutilized service. Let's put it in an area where our ridership is really great. And that's in the town of Dumfries and Triangle on the southern end of Route 1, the southern end of Prince William County. Our service there, 2 of the 3 local routes in the system are the number 2, number 3 routes are out of this area. So the whole Route 1 corridor is booming down there. And we wanted an opportunity to see what microtransit would look like in that area because there are certain areas that we still can't get to with the bus. One of them is Quantico. There's a civilian town of Quantico that's in the back of the base there. And prior to 2020, we were running bus service into there. But then when the security was heightened and it changed some of the dynamics with COVID, we had to pull the bus service out of there. We had temporarily replaced it with a cab service because Yellow Cab had the DBIDS card to be able to get on there. And one of the things we heard from the town of Quantico residents was they were limited to their transportation options because Uber had a hard time getting on the base, through the base to get to the town. They couldn't get food deliveries. It was just a real hassle for people to get on and off there. So it really gave us this opportunity to take the microtransit, send it into Quantico, but then give them a number of places that they could go to, whether it was to the Walmart at the north end of the zone or connect to the fixed route to go up to Woodbridge, go to the commuter lot, take the bus into DC, which we do. We have a lot of people that take it to the 234 commuter lot and transfer to our buses. So it gave us an opportunity to do something a little bit different than our fixed route. And this started in mid-2023. And that really has helped the 2 systems actually work really well with each other. It's commingled with the paratransit. Our fixed route service hasn't suffered as a result of that because people will use either one, whichever one works the best for them, whether it's the van they can get or the bus, depending on where they get. So being that all of our local service, paratransit and microtransit's free, it just gives people a lot of options to get around that area and has been widely successful down there. Next slide, please. So what can microtransit do for you? What are the lessons learned out of all this? And what should you know when you're going into this? It's not necessarily meant to save money operationally. You can do that, but there's a cost with that too. The lower amount of service you run, then you have the lower frequency that you operate, and that's a lower amount of passengers. Or you can use it to just be better resources. You could take the same amount of money that you're spending for a fixture out, and maybe you could put 3 or 4 vans in there. And now you're just serving the public much better because it's more frequent. You're going into these neighborhoods that low frequency transit can't get to, and you're allowing people better access into the community, into the other transit network. The flexibility allows for a lot of experimentation. With us, it was allowing us to introduce electric vehicles. We had the paratransit service that started initially, and at the time we were using gasoline vans and minivans, but then by the time we started going to microtransit, there were more electric vehicles available, and it was a really great way for us to introduce our system to EVs. Instead of the big buses, we went small. And so we have 4 Nissan Leafs for ambulatory passengers to use, and then we have 3 electric Ford vans, and those have the heavy-duty lifts on there. Because the service is commingled with paratransit, we want to make sure that we have the proper vehicle that can carry wheelchairs on either service there. And we are looking at purchasing even more electric vehicles off the state contract. There's a number of opportunities. We're actually looking at purchasing some Chevy Blazers. Those are also ambulatory, but they're a little bigger, and they will seat people a little more comfortably than the Nissan Leafs, but it does allow us some diversity with our electric fleet as well. And trial and error is okay. You know, with a zone, if you see an area that you've created that isn't really performing well, just change it. You know, with a bus route, if you create this whole nice bus route and you want to change it, you can't just do that. Maybe you can tweak it a little bit within the fringes, but if you want to do something big, you need public hearings, and that takes months and months and months. You just change the zone at a moment's notice. You add stops. A new apartment complex suddenly is built within your zone, then you can add stops there. It just makes it really easy to modify everything.
I know you're
talking
almost done.
across-
It's super fascinating. We're way over time, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to, there are only a couple of us left. We want to make sure we can ask any questions.
Oh, sure. Yep. The main thing is finding ways to commingle with paratransit and then having policies to avoid abuse of the service, making sure people aren't just taking, dozens of trips and bogging down your system. Next slide. That's my presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thankfully, we had my colleague, Commissioner Alcorn here because he's chairing the next committee. So before we close up, you've given me more questions and ideas and more questions. So I may have to follow up with you personally, but wanted to see if Commissioner Alcorn had anything else to say.
The only thing, just a quick question in terms of what's your average daily ridership? I'm just curious.
Yeah, our average daily ridership between the two zones is about 70 to 75 people per day. And on the
Okay.
western zone where we replaced the Route 68, the ridership has eclipsed what that route was carrying.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, I love it. I love the idea of commingling with paratransit. I've actually wonder why we don't do that or how we could do that. And we've had people ask about why we don't use school buses during the day for passengers. So love that you guys have been doing this. And thank you so much, Perrin, for the presentation. And thank you for being patient with us.
Sure, I'm sorry to go along there too.
No, this is so fascinating. Now we'll have it for posterity. This is not an official PAC meeting, and being the only member remaining. I assume there's no additional question, and just want to let the audience know that our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 17th at 4:30 p.m. This will be an all virtual meeting, as we'll be jointly meeting with the Joint Commission Working Group. The first part of the meeting will be updated on the next round for the I-395-95 commuter choice program. And the second half of the meeting will be discussing next steps for Vision Route 7 and a preview of ridership trends. There is a joint WMATA committee and legislative and policy committee meeting following this meeting at 6 p.m. PAC members are invited to stay if they would like to participate, and WMATA's real estate team will be joining for that meeting. We're now adjourned. Thank you all. Let me turn this.
Yeah, could you? Thank you, Karen.